Finally, Firefox users are getting the option to block video and audio that starts playing when you visit websites, something already available on Apple and Google. The option was added over the weekend to Firefox Nightly, the latest test version of Mozilla's popular web browser, asking users by default whether they want to allow a website to autoplay video with sound. Users also have the option to go into their preferences and block all sites' autoplayability if they don't want to deal with it for each site they visit. The autoplay blocking is an example of how browsers are getting more assertive on behalf of users faced with pushy websites. The result is a web that should be less annoying to more users, but also one where advertising-funded sites have a harder time with their businesses. The autoplay blocking option works only in the nightly test version of Firefox for now, but it's scheduled to arrive in the main version of the browser sometime in October. The update also includes greater promotion of tracking protection, which blocks website publishers and advertisers from running software that follows your online behavior. In 1993, the film Demolition Man was set in a fictional future of 2030 where people gain access to more or less everything via iris scanners, somewhere where we are heading. That leads to an unsurprising plot device in which a prisoner escapes from jail by cutting out the warden's eyeball and using it to spoof the biometric scanners. This raises an interesting question. Is it possible for an iris scanner to tell the difference between a living or a dead one? Today, we have an answer, thanks to the work at Warsaw University of Technology in Poland. These guys have created a database of iris scans from living people and from dead bodies, and then trained a machine learning algorithm to spot the difference. They say their algorithm can distinguish a living iris from a dead one with 99% accuracy. But their results offer criminals a potential way to defeat the detection system. Last year, hackers unlocked an iris-scanning Samsung smartphone by printing an image of the owner's iris onto a contact lens and then placing that contact lens onto a dummy eyeball. The more gruesome hack from Demolition Man, though, is another way to circumvent these systems. But nobody has worked out whether this form of attack can be detected until now. The research is made possible by an unusual database, the Warsaw Biobase Postmortem Iris Dataset. It includes 574 near-infrared iris images collected from 17 people at various times after they have died. The images date from 5 hours to 34 days after death. The team also collected 256 images of live irises. Finally, they used most of the dataset to train a machine learning system to recognize dead and alive irises. They used the rest of the dataset to test the algorithm. The results suggest that the algorithm accurately spotted all dead irises and rarely misclassified live ones. However, there is a caveat. This accuracy applies only to irises that have been dead for 16 hours or more. Samples collected briefly after death can fail to prove post-mortem changes that are pronounced enough to serve as cues for liveness detection, they're calling it. That gives these gruesome hackers a window of opportunity, since freshly plucked eyeballs should work just fine, at least for now. If you're worried, though, you can take some comfort from the knowledge that plucked eyeballs lose their hacking potential just a few hours later. General Motors is launching a new service in Chicago, Detroit, and Ann Arbor, Michigan that will let owners rent out their personal GM-branded vehicles through its Maven car-sharing platform. The mobility division initially launched as a car-sharing service akin to Zipcar. The company owns a fleet of GM vehicles and developed an app that lets customers rent the cars when they want and for short periods of time. Now, in 2017, the company launched Maven Reserve in Los Angeles and San Francisco to allow customers to rent its GM-branded vehicles for a month at a time. It also has a program called Maven Gig that rents out vehicles to rideshare and delivery drivers who use apps like Uber, Lyft, and Uber Eats. But all of those programs involve GM-owned cars. This new peer-to-peer service, rumors of which have been swirling for months, will allow owners and eligible lessees to earn money by renting their personal Chevy, Buick, GMC, or Cadillac vehicles. There are restrictions, of course, to the service. Consumers can't rent out their old Saturn, for example. To qualify, the vehicles must be a GM model year 2015 or newer. The service, branded as Peer Cars, will be available to existing Maven members, which now exceeds more than 150,000 people. All vehicles rented out on the service will be insured by GM. Peer Cars is just a test product, for now at least, but the company said it may launch in other U.S. cities this fall.